My name's Dunnit, set up builds and stuff. Today's video isn't a build, I want to show you a pulse rifle that is endgame meta. The Sacred Provenance from the Garden of Salvation with the photo inhibition trait and kinetic tremors. This pulse rifle is absolutely insane against shields and anti-barriers, especially when you pair it up with the Techsec kinetic damage bonus. This pulse rifle is absolutely insane, and I ain't joking you. You're going to get up to 350% damage increase against anti-barrier shields and other shields in game and constructs, but it's anti-barrier pulse this season, and this thing one taps anti-barrier pulses at endgame activities. But more importantly, you're going to do extra damage with your actual shot, but the Kinetic Tremors is actually buffed by the Techsec as well. Look at the state of that. So, the Sacred Provenance, it's a aggressive burst pulse rifle from the Garden of Salvation. We've got armor piercing rounds on there. This does extra damage against shields, including anti-barriers. We've also got Demolitionist on there, and we've also got Kinetic Tremors, sustained kinetic damage to a target emits a shockwave, and then the more important perk on there is Photo Inhibition. This weapon deals bonus damage to combatant shields and targets with overshields. Breaking a combatant shield disorientates them. Breaking an energy match shield also disorientates nearby combatants. But the more important thing is the extra damage this does against shields. Now bear in mind it's anti-barrier pulse this season, 34.3% against PvE combatants, elemental shields and barrier champion shields. And it also does 21.6% against PvE combatant overshields, but 34.3% against anti-barrier and elemental shields. Plus you add in your armor piercing rounds. This also gives you an additional 5% against elemental and barrier shields. So you're looking at about a 40% damage increase just on its own against shields, including anti-barrier. Now, for some testing purposes, what I did was pulled out a disparity. This is an aggressive burst. It's the same frame as Sacred Provenance. So we're going to test some numbers now, so bear with me. I had my weapon stat below 100 as well, just to sort of clarify that. The disparity is for about 33-36 against the barrier. Now, watch the shield damage at 28. Not very impressive. So, a 28 against an anti-barrier shield. Not very good. It's like a 2 or 3 burst, maybe 4 burst in harder activity. Now, I've put the Sacred Provenance on, and watch what happens. That goes up to 42 damage. So, that is quite a large increase just on its own, and that reduces the damage you need to do to an anti-barrier shield to sort of proc that break. The actual increase is a 50% damage increase. That is pretty much near enough what we said. I don't know where the extra 10% is coming from, but that's the photo inhibition and the armor piercing. I've tested this over and over again. There must be something I'm not sure about, but anyways, a 50% damage increase. Now, add in the Techsec armor bonus. What this does, you deal it significantly increased kinetic damage to combatant shields, overshields, vehicles and constructs. Now, this is up to 190-200% damage increase, so we're going to see all that working together versus the disparity, which was hitting for 28. So I've added that in. Now watch the state of this. It goes all the way up to 126. I'm going to slow that down. So you're doing an absolutely massive 200% additional damage with your Sacred Provenance versus anti-barrier shields. Now, the other thing just to mention as well, now the 200% damage increase it's actually a hell of a lot more than that versus other pulse rifles in the game, because obviously I tested with the disparity, which was only hitting for 28. So if you versus that from the original shot, the disparity shot against an anti-barrier. So if you don't have a pulse rifle that's not Sacred Provenance, you're going to do something like this, 28. But once you've got your Sacred Provenance and your Techsec on with the photo inhibition, it goes all the way up to a massive 126, which is actually a 350% damage increase versus any other pulse in the game, which is absolutely huge. So I just took it to a master version. I was 30 below, just to sort of show you how easy this breaks barrier shields. Look at that. It's a primary ammo weapon, guys. This is a joke. When you get to the end game stuff, this pulse rifle is going to be an absolute monster. So just to clarify, the test versus disparity or any other sort of aggressive pulse rifle in the game, Sacred Provenance is going to do 350% extra damage versus shields. Now that is crazy with the Techsec as well. Now the other thing with this pulse rifle as well is very unique. It's got the Kinetic Tremors on there. Now what if I told you Kinetic Tremors actually also benefits from everything else that you've seen? Obviously this is quite hard to capture, but I'm going to show you it working. Look at the state of that. The Kinetic Tremors, 284 damage, and it actually breaks 339. It's really hard to get them numbers, but I'm absolutely positive Kinetic Tremors is getting the buffs from the Techsec, the photo inhibition, and the armor piercing rounds, which is just absolutely fantastic. This is just another added bonus. So getting all that extra damage on your actual pulse rifle shot and the Kinetic Tremors, just going to make this an absolute endgame monster, this Sacred Provenance. I did a few videos on it last season. It's just absolutely brilliant. Now, the other bonus to the Techsec as well is defeating powerful combatants or breaking a combatant's shield with a kinetic damage releases a disorientating kinetic shockwave. So, we won't even mention that, but I'll just show you that working. You're going to just disorientate enemies left, right and centre, which just leaves them stood still and reduces damage because they're not going to do anything to you. They just stood around blinded, and that sort of like effect is absolutely huge. And another thing with Kinetic Tremors actually procs that disorientating effect as well. You'll see it in these clips. If you get a kill with that Kinetic Tremors, it is also going to proc that disorientating, which is just even more of an added bonus. But that's it. I covered this pulse a couple of times last season. I told everyone to make sure to go get it because it will be anti-barrier soon. Anti-barrier is this season, pulse rifles. So go get this pulse. Once again, listen to your own mate Duddits. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.